Hello. Utilizing the attachment system to your advantage is the key factor that sets apart a skilled player from an average polygon gamer. In this concise video, I'll explain how and when to effectively use the system, ensuring that you become a master of attachments. But first, let's understand the purpose of the attachment system. It allows players to enhance specific aspects of the gun by equipping various attachments. However, it's important to note that using the attachments comes with a trade-off, as there is no direct upgrade to the base stats of the weapon. These buffs and nerfs only affect recoil, control, and ADS time, rather than damage or speed. With that being said, each attachment is meticulously designed with a specific purpose in mind. So let's dive in and explore the world of attachments, unlocking the true potential and elevating your gameplay to new heights. There are only two real playstyles, long range and close range. So I'll be dividing the attachment into both sections. So if you ever need to pause the video and at the end and look at what you need for a certain playstyle, you could just do that. Starting off with the muzzle brakes. First off, we have the muzzle brake quad crown. Pros: decreases spread by 10%. Cons: decreases recoil control by 10%. For those unaware, spread is how much the bullets spread apart from each other, given the recoil is on point. Speaking of which, recoil is how much kick the gun has when fired continuously. Ideally, you want to use this one in close range, since the recoil in this game is already minimal, but the bullet spread is no joke. This is obviously going in the close range category. Muzzle brake hunter. Pros: increases recoil control by 10% and decreases recoil by 5%. Meaning it basically increases recoil control by 15%. The difference between recoil and recoil control is very minimal. Cons: it decreases the time for aiming down scopes by 5% and increases draw time by 5%. Draw time being the time it takes you to switch between weapons or pull it out in general. The hunter is very much a long range attachment. ADS and draw time are crucial to a close range combat, and with it having two recoil bonuses, it's clear where it's placed. Muzzle brake dual brake. Pros: increases recoil control by 10%. Cons: increases spread by 15%. You might look at this and think, well, that's very similar to the crackdown, as it looks like it's the exact opposite, but there is 15% on the spread instead of 10. Yes, that would be true. So ideally you would want to use this in the opposite category than the quad crown, but with the crackdown being in the close range and you trying to use this in long range, you have recoil control by 10%, which is kind of cool, but in long range, spread is a bit more crucial than recoil control. Recoil control is already minimal as it is. I already said that, but the thing is, spread in the long range is gonna make you miss a lot more than if you learn how to pull down your mouse. So me personally, right, I would never use this, but if you were to use this, you should probably use it at medium range, not long range, which doesn't really make sense. I don't know, don't use it, just don't. Alright, moving on to grips. Assault grip. Pros: decreases draw time by 10% and spread by 10. Cons: increases the time to aim down sights by 5% and decreases your mobility by 1%. Initially, the pros with this help with the short range, but then the cons hinder the close range again. So this measure is kind of weird. Again, I wouldn't suggest using it. If I were to make a tier list, which at the end I might just pop up on the screen, like at the very end, a tier list of all the attachments, I would put the assault grip and the dual brake at the very bottom. Like they're weird. They don't exactly fit into the style. They kind of hinder each other. It's all weird. The thing is, with it increasing aiming down sights and mobility, which is a close range thing, but then also decreasing the time to draw, and then spread by 10%, which is also close range. It's like it's pros and cons kind of cancel each other out. Personally, 5% in aiming down sights and 1% in mobility isn't actually much. That is true, but then the benefit also isn't much higher. It is very much viable in close range. It's not as bad as dual brake. Anyways, angled grip. Pros: decreases the time to aim down sights by 10%. Cons: decreases recoil control by 10%. This is kind of like the quad crown, so don't use both of them at the same time, because you get 20% the decrease in recoil, which, you know, the recoil isn't usually a big thing in the game, but when you have a fifth of it hindered, like that kind of starts to make a bit of a difference, and it's gonna be getting pretty annoying. So don't put this with the quad crown, but otherwise it fulfills the same purpose as it. Close range, it's good for aiming down sights by 10%. That's good when like you're running around and jumping around corners and just have to aim down sights real quick. And in the recoil 10%, that's nobody cares about that. Moving on. Vertical grip. Pros: decreases recoil by 15%. Cons: increases the time to aim down sights by 5% and mobility by 1. Simply, this is the best long range attachments. I mean, yes, recoil isn't much in the game, but if you have 115% of it, that's that starts to get pretty good. And like the downsides, aiming downsides and mobility, like even in close range, they're not even that big of a deal. I mean it's 5%, 1%, 15%. Attachments are always not going to be a big deal, but 5% and 1% are actually nothing. The vertical grip should go on any single gun that's remotely long range. And I mean, you can even use it on the SMGs. It's pretty good. Moving on to sight. I feel like I shouldn't even be going over this, but there are some funny numbers I think you should know. First off, the red dot and any of the Cobra and the Reflex or whatever the fuck it's called. Pros: displays a crosshair, right? And then cons: decreases the time to draw by 5%. So you wouldn't even notice that in a regular game. But you would notice is the ACOG and any of the other scopes that are medium magnification. The cons are: increases the time to draw by 25%. See that you would notice. I see a lot of people use an ACOG with like a gun like G36C, which is an SMG, right? Having a 25%, it's not a big deal, but it's definitely noticeable. I felt like I should have just gone over this for the funsies. All right, the main things to take away from this video are: here's the category, like here's what you want to be looking at if you want to be making a close range weapon. Here, if you want to be making a long range weapon, look here. Right, so anytime you want to make a weapon, you can just come back to this video, watch this part, you can just see what attachments fit what. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.